Yeah, we welcome you back to another hour of Newsmax Now. John Bachman, good to be with you.
And I'm Miranda Khan. Up next on Newsmax Now, we have an update on that new hush money case against Denny Hastert, the new indictment that could doom his once stellar reputation. Our very own J.D. Hayworth will join us live to explain.
And doomsday shelters for the worst case scenarios are not exactly new. Remember the duck and cover movies there from the 1960s? A new trend in the industry, though, could have them coming back in a big way. What's driving this recent boom in the safe room business?
And who says you can't be conservative and in favor of same-sex marriage? A look at a possible GOP exit strategy from its past platform on this very issue. And welcome back to Newsmax Now. Thanks for staying with us.
It's good to have everybody with us. As we were telling you at the beginning of the last hour, the State Department today has announced it's dropping Cuba from its list of state sponsors of terrorism. This is a big move here today and could help normalize relations with the communist island. Now that Cuba is off that list, diplomatic ties between the two countries can be restored in a more meaningful way. This after more than 5 decades of estrangement. This also comes on JFK's, or what would have been John F. Kennedy's 98th birthday. The State Department added Cuba to the terrorism list back in 1982 when its communist leaders supported guerrilla fighters in Latin America. Currently, only Iran, Syria, and Sudan remain on that list.
Former Republican Speaker of the House faces federal charges. Former Congressman Dennis Hastert is accused of lying to the FBI and evading bank regulations around large withdrawals. The grand jury indictment says Hastert agreed to pay $3.5 million in hush money to someone who was supposed to stay quiet about Hastert's, quote, prior misconduct. The person is not being identified either. And if he's convicted, Hastert could find himself facing several years in prison. Many of his colleagues have already spoken out about the federal charges. Former Virginia Congressman Tom Davis was a member of the leadership team during Hastert's tenure as Speaker from 1999 to 2007. And he tells Politico he's just absolutely in shock. He says Hastert was seen as a man of total integrity.
Former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley is expected to announce that he's running for president sometime this weekend. The Democratic governor visited early campaign states, and his supporters launched a super PAC called Generation Forward. O'Malley's team wants to take advantage of his relatively young age. He's 52, while his main competition, Hillary Clinton and Senator Bernie Sanders, are both 67 and 73 respectively. But so far, he's not polling very well. A recent Quinnipiac survey showed him at 1% among primary voters around the country. Meantime, in Phoenix, hundreds of protesters plan to rally outside a mosque where 2 gunmen who attacked a Mohammed cartoon contest once prayed. Former Marine John Ritzheimer organized the event. He says the shooting in Garland, Texas, struck a nerve.
I could say that I do hate the religion of Islam. I do. I hate what's going on with it.
Well, in an event listing on Facebook, he says the rally will be peaceful, but he's also encouraging people to, quote, utilize their Second Amendment rights. He's also holding his own Muhammad cartoon contest. And the head of the Islamic Community Center of Phoenix says as long as the protesters stay off the mosque property, they can do what they want. Elton Simpson and Nadir Sufi were killed after opening fire on a Muhammad cartoon event in Texas. Both attended prayers at that same mosque, but they were not described as regular members.
CDC officials confirm a total of 18 laboratories may have received live anthrax spores. That's double the number first reported, but so far, no one has become ill.
No known risk to the general public, and there's no suspected or confirmed cases of anthrax infection.
The base that sent those shipments, the Dugway Proving Ground, has been testing chemical weapons since 1942. That base has come under past scrutiny for similar mess-ups, including at least 2 other issues with chemical weapons. House Republicans warn the Taliban 5 will soon be able to leave Qatar and get back on the battlefield. GOP lawmakers and the House Intel Committee says they've asked the Obama administration to work with Qatar to maintain the travel ban for the Taliban 5, but so far nothing's changed. The 5 terrorists were traded for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. Bergdahl, as you may recall, is accused of walking away from his base in Afghanistan, where he was later picked up by the Taliban back in 2009. In Iran, protesters take to the streets to rally against the nuclear deal. As you can hear, the protesters are angry because they feel like Iran is caving in to demands from the West. They think their government is giving away too much during the nuclear talks. This comes as the U.S. and Iran continue to try and finalize a nuclear deal, which is due at the end of next month.
FIFA voting on a new president today, also dealing with lots of pushback from sponsors after corruption charges against the organization rocked the soccer world. Visa has threatened to pull away from FIFA unless the organization cleans up its act. Coca-Cola says the bribery scandal tarnishes the mission of the World Cup, and today someone called in a bomb threat during that FIFA meeting in Zurich.
The local authorities decided as a precaution to search the premises during the lunch break, so all this room. The premises have been cleared now by the authorities. The Congress can start again.
Soccer officials from around the world are meeting in Zurich today. One of the decisions will be whether to re-elect FIFA's embattled president, Sepp Blatter, who's been in charge of the organization for nearly 2 decades. Heavy rains continue to pound Texas, where at least 20 people now have died during that severe weather over the last week. 7 inches of rain has fallen in North Texas. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for Dallas earlier today. In Houston, thousands of buildings and homes have been destroyed in the flooding. There you go.
All right, so we were talking about Haster's indictment. That took a lot of people by surprise, don't you think? And joining us now is J.D. Hayworth to talk about this. Were you shocked?
A little bit of background. The day of the public signing of the contract with America on the west front of the Capitol back in 1994, who came down from votes and stood next to me? Then Congressman Denny Hastert.
Right.
He worked very hard with Tom DeLay. He was the chief deputy whip. And then in the wake of Newt Gingrich's resignation and the quick decision by Bob Livingston to resign from Congress, Denny Hastert became the favorite because he was considered a man of integrity. And
right,
now
that's what
you get
everyone
this,
is saying. Are
now
you shocked?
Well, yes. And here's the other thing that I think. Now, granted, JD in my name does not stand for Juris Doctor. I'm not a lawyer, never played one on TV, but I do understand politics.
Right.
And I can tell you it is worth noting, and whatever charges are there, it seems this alleged misconduct did not come during part of Hastert's public life.
Right.
And what they're talking about could have been a blackmail attempt, and he was withdrawing cash. Now, where the problem came, I don't know suddenly why this became the purview of the feds. May have to do with RICO and the amount of money being taken out of bank accounts, which still there's a privacy right with. But if he said something to the feds that was inaccurate, if he deliberately misread FBI agents, it's tough.
This is a long-standing thing. I've talked to a federal prosecutor about this one time, which involved a similar corruption case on a much smaller scale, and I said, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, like more of an error than a mistake. But the mistake is when you lie, and this is what the prosecutor told me, you don't lie to the FBI because they don't forget.
But the other thing that happens is this, and this is what ambitious and politically minded United States attorneys do. I don't necessarily think it happened here. But it is worth noting prosecutors can lay what they call a perjury trap, can bring someone in, and if that subject legitimately does not remember the events, they can still, you deliberately misled us, therefore it's perjury. It's just very curious to me, if this were a private action, if this was something that happened not holding public office, and it was a blackmail case, why then literally does it become a federal case? And the other thing, 2 things. You're innocent until proven guilty, and what is the other old saying? You can indict a ham sandwich.
Right.
So I'm just very leery of the whole thing. If there was misconduct, I'm not excusing that in any way, but apparently the misconduct did not come from time in elected office.
So we'll look forward to Hastert's. Well, we'll look forward to Hastert's defense, and we imagine his attorney will speak very soon. We also want to talk, JD, about this incident in Phoenix. Or I shouldn't call it an incident, but this event scheduled in Phoenix, Arizona, later today. You talk to Dr. Zuhdi Jasser about this, another Mohammed cartoon event. What did he have to say?
Well, he says this muddles the debate. In fact, I think we have a little bit of it we can listen to right now. Do we not? Perhaps we don't.
That's just going to tease. They're just going to have to wait till tonight.
Wait till tonight. But the best phrase that Zuhdi brought up And he says, look, people have a right to demonstrate.
Right.
And he has also pointed out that at that Islamic Community Center, people have been radicalized. But he said this muddles the debate where it becomes the Al Sharptonization of this entire question. We'll tell you more tonight at 8 Eastern.